Zoom and your inability to let me set things up right. All right. I'm going to trust that this works.
Yep, it's working. Just checked.
All right. We're live. Hooray.
Yep.
Well, welcome everyone to the finals for round 3, lightning round. I think we say you have a week, you have less than a week to get this to happen. So congratulations on everyone getting through this. Hopefully this round was fun. This is the round is all about making something that's just fun, engaging, sort of like dealing with scope, dealing with simplicity, just trying to find something that's an activity. We're not concerned so much about restricting on instructions or working for an eye guess. So today, Heather is joining us, and she and I will be experiencing the worlds. Welcome, Heather. I think we have a lot of worlds that are multiplayer, so that's going to be exciting. I have a sense that we're going to have worlds that are happening on the phone. So we're going to see how all that plays out. And I guess before we get going, if anyone has any questions about what's going to happen, feel free to raise your hand.
Yeah, I have one. I heard there was going to be some Air Console, and I want to know whether I need to be logged in with Facebook or not.
You don't need to log in with Facebook.
I generally say no to all of the do you want to log in things because
Great.
I don't like those things.
Happy.
Yes. No. Yeah, Air Console is a platform that I think has broader ambitions than how we use it in class. And one of those broader ambitions is to get you to sign up and be tracked. But at the same time, it enables doing cool multiplayer control stuff. So I think today we're going in numerical order too, which is going to make life a little bit easier to remember who's going next. It's good. So I say that in terms of like what makes things easier, and I have to look it up. Team 19 is where we are. It's 9 times 2 plus 1. All right, so I think we're ready to get going with Team 19. So if Team 19 would sort of flip over and sort of get your videos up, and I'm going to be running this world on my machine. I get to be the one, I get to be the guinea pig here. I tested it. I know it runs. I know I'm not very good at it. So we're gonna see if I'm a little bit better at this world than I was a few minutes ago. So with that,
before you play it, can you wear the headset or using some?
I can do a headset.
Okay.
Do I also need to do a headset then?
No, this is a single player game that uses the microphone on my machine. This is the so everyone gets to watch me desperately try to remember what are the right commands for the right characters, and you'll see. It'll make sense in a little bit. All right, I'm gonna mute. Actually, let me mute. Unmute. I'm in 2 places at once. I'm gonna stop this video. Okay. I'm over here now. And hopefully this is gonna work. And
try to use the microphone in your headset, maybe.
I've got this.
Okay, got it.
So
great.
No, this one doesn't work. So I could, if you wanted me to use it, it would not be a good idea.
Okay, that's good.
Let me just do this. All right, and I think I'm ready to go. man. All right, Kung Fu guy. We're gonna conquer you this time.
Did you share audio?
Yes. Hoo-ha. Hey. Yeah. I am not getting audio. Let me hold on a sec. Let me just do a quick. I'm gonna restart this. Ah! What happened? Oh yeah, that's why. Pardon me. All right, we can just write this time. There we go. All right, back. Yes. All right. Hoo-ha. Hoo-ha. Hey. Hey. Yeah. All right. Hoo-ha. Go. Hey. 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 Hoo-ha. Hey. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Hoo-ha. Hey. Hoo-ha. Yeah. Hoo-ha. Yeah. Hey. Hoo-ha. Hey. Hoo-ha. Yeah. Hoo-ha. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hoo-ha. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. Hoo-ha. Hoo-ha. Yeah. Hey. Hoo-ha. Hoo-ha. Yeah. Hoo-ha. Hey. Hey. Hey.
I think you are going to the
Hey. Hoo-ha. I'm gonna see what. Yeah. 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 Hey. Right. Was there, I assume it kept going and going and going?
Yeah, it's an endless just scrolling 2D style game.
Nice. The well, I would right off the bat, like the intro and the use of the words, like I really like the match between like what the fantasy of sort of, you know, fighting, kung fu, like you get like the whole interaction is I sort of shout these words, and they're words that I want to shout. They sort of like match like that moment, uh, and I don't know, it feels really good. Like it just that interaction of shouting to do a different move. It's simple, but it's effective. Like I've sort of felt
Yeah.
it feels very different than just pushing a button. And I
You
think
know,
that's
when we was play testing with Stephanie and Annie, they said they really like looking forward to see you play this game.
there's an interesting history in I sometimes I think there are teams that their whole idea is what can we do to force me and Jesse to like look ridiculous, which honestly is not a bad brainstorming technique of like sort of like it's a good way to force you to think outside of normal interactions. But this I like this. This felt good. It's endless, and I my brain was definitely like, is this going to advance to something more? Like, because I was in a pattern of like I've got this, and I got pretty comfortable with it, and I was waiting for it to sort of accelerate and to either get crazy, um, or to like add in a new word or like mix it up somehow. Um, but
I have some thoughts as a spectator. I could
yeah, actually,
contribute to
Heather,
that.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I actually because I had the same feeling. It's because it's using an arcade sort of aesthetic, so you sort of expect there to be a boss or a ramping up, or it's just especially because I really wanted to see that ridiculous Dave behavior as well, and the pacing of it was such that he already knew it too well. He was doing too well. He didn't mess up enough, and I wanted to see it be like he had to be like getting confused and there's just like a ton of enemies piling on and he's like hi hoo-ha like just like completely like jumbling up his speech because there's just too many enemies to be able to fight them so cleanly. So yeah, I had that same feeling from it, but yeah, and I also wanted to know he didn't really mess up much because he knew it too well, so I wanted to see what would happen if you not if you just don't say it at the right time, but if you say the wrong one to the wrong enemy, does something different happen? What are the variations there? But in general, it seems like the seed of a good. It's a start of a good complete
You know
experience.
that in our like last version, we actually made this game very difficult. Like even for our playtester, they like really like failed several times, and then we realized, oh, maybe when they playing our games, we need to make sure this game is easy to play.
I don't
So
know what
that's
that says about me.
because like it's some experience from last round.
Well, and so playing it, the beginning is exactly right, right? It's and yeah, I think you can like there's a little tweak in the tutorial, which is I keep saying the words early because it's like he's like, hey, do this, and I do it, and like, okay, now it's your turn. It's like, oh, which is it still works, but it was a little like a little rough spot. But the beginning of like the actual play of having the enemies come, you give me the UI on the side, which says these are the words, and that is super helpful. And actually, if I had an idea of like just how to make it more difficult in an advanced level, I would take those away. It's like as you're going, it's like, guess what? Like we're going to remove. Now it's time to like. It's like now you finished training. Now go out and do this on your own, and you got almost like the same pacing of enemies, but it's without the UI on the side, and that would I think really that's where I'd be challenged to. I've got to remember, and it would be like an oh crap moment of like I was really relying on that, and I sort of need to remember what's happening, I think that might give you a good mix of, panic and, that like nice space of, I've got a little bit of mastery, but not enough to breeze through it. And those moments of confusion would sort of be natural then. And it would be less about, oh, the experience is too hard. And it's more, I didn't quite remember the things I was supposed to remember, and it's kind of on me.
There's one thing you did have to remember, and that is which word lines up with which enemy. Because you don't, in the kind of cheat sheet, you see the move you're going to make if you make that sound, but it's not an absolutely obvious connection between what move you'd make and the appropriate enemy. So maybe to make it, I wouldn't say easier, but I'd be interested if you gave some thought to which move matched up with which response, which enemy matched up with which move, and therefore like obviously if the enemy's coming from above, if I had a move that was clearly like punching upward, it would trigger me to know that that's the one that I wanted to give at that moment, and then just try to remember the word that goes with that. But you did have to remember which move goes with which enemy, just without any help.
And yeah, just like old-fashioned arcade game, we get some like little cheat sheet around in the corner of the arcade machine, which is some like how to use a gel sticker, but it won't tell you how to do some combo, like do the gel sticker and just press the key in the same time, just like that.
Right. That's like part of the culture of mastery of those games, is that like you get to be the one who knows it, and maybe you pass it on, or you read it somewhere else, but it's not provided to you in the experience. I get it.
A question I did have is, so when the enemies approach, the sort of screen does this vignetting almost with like these lines, and it's like really clear now, like it's a like sort of attack moment. But the thing that kind of confused me was I was pretty far away from the enemies. And I never quite got a good sense of like where the timing was. My general like, what is the world telling me sense is when that visual effect happens, I can attack. And my brain also knows like there's a little bit of delay on speech recognition. So like that exists, but I kept wanting to wait. I kept wanting to wait until the enemy was closer because I knew I had a short range attack. And so I was like stuck a little bit in this uncertain space of, is it more of a timing based thing, or is it just take the signal and know that as soon as that happens, I can attack? And so I guess, is the timing as soon as that change happens, I can attack?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be, and I this is always an interesting balance with, if you're using something like speech recognition is a very, it is not a fast reaction interaction. It is, you say something, it takes time to say it, and then it takes time for it to register. And that means you have to like have this pacing. And I think what you did, the fact that you signaled strongly that like there's a mode change, made it so I could be successful. But the then syncing up with the fantasy of I'm punching, I think what I really want on, like, if you have more time, like if you iterated this, I would want to say it and then have that punch happen like right at the same time. I think that will really get you to the strengths and weaknesses of voice, because I think it'd be a really strong visceral moment of I'm punching, but to get that timing to balance out, I'm not too sure like how you would make that exactly right. But I think it sort of speaks to the strength of voice that I want that moment. And then it's obviously to the weakness of voice, which is it's the timing of it is really not an arcade timing style interaction. But I mean, like I said, I think the fundamental interaction is really compelling, and it's a great use of voice. And I think there's a little bit, I mean, obviously, like in less than a week, like you're able to get this interaction, this fantasy going, and build it into a pretty complete experience. There's room for iteration, like there always is, but I think there's little things you could do to make this, to have it build, and that would be it's in a good spot. So good work.
Thank you.
Right. Let me swap over. I'm over here now. All right, so that was team 19. And we're going over to team 20, I believe.
Yep.
All right, sorry about that.
All right. So this one is 2-player.
And we should open up Air Console and type in that code.
Yep.
Oh, that's still there. I'm player 2.
Speed, I'm going out for the text. Okay, for you, Dave.
Sure. All right. Attack. Wait, who am I? All right, there I am.
I'm just here in the middle, getting like hit by a million bullets.
I think
Air
you-
Console
oh.
is hard for directional, just because like you don't have any surface. There's nothing you can feel about, you know, on your finger about what button you're on. So yeah,
Yeah, no, let's give it a try.
yeah, we can give it another go.
All right. And there's a little. I think there's a. So
I
like,
have brown hair and you have blonde hair.
yes. No, I think I've got a sense of who I am now. There's definitely like dealing with a little bit of a delay. All right, now watch out for those. We're in a very side scrolly, a little bullet hell. There's, are those
Probably
good?
want things in the jars, I'm guessing. Hard to tell, it's going by pretty fast. I almost died.
Oh, I died, and I'm guessing did I die because I didn't get something. My health meter like went down.
So player 2 is another personality, and player 2 needs to get the bullet to recover
Oh.
HP, and player 1 need to dodge the bullet.
Gotcha. So I absorbed them.
Oh, yeah, so you need to get in the way of the bullets, okay.
You need to attack him. You need to attack him.
Okay, I'm attacking. Where's my hitbox? Yes, it's editor. Go down. Delay. Delay hard. That one I got, finally. Down. No, too slow. Okay. Maybe if I come back here, I'll be able to move
Nice.
fast enough.
All right, will I come back from the dead? Yes. All right, so I can get in front.
Press A to get ready.
Collect some bullets. What's going on the screen? Hard to see. Well, if I get behind you, then you can.
Yeah, I
collect
can do a
them.
shield.
I can be like in your what do you call
What do you want me to be? I can be like right up here. Can you shoot through me?
it? Yeah, I can. Or at least right now I'm
Yeah, one strategy is
your feet.
player 2 need to protect player 1, like stand in front of her.
I need a little more to the bullet. I need to get more bullets in my body.
Ah! These controls are just the hardest thing.
Yeah, I guess I can try to follow the boss.
Did I die already?
Oh. All right. Is there? If we restart, will we go back to the beginning?
Yes, but you can skip the video and you need to go to the beginning.
All right, let's give it one more try.
Okay.
Sort of like see if
Player 1 press A 5 times to skip the video.
Yeah, and both players they both can attack. So press A. Player 2 also can like set bullet.
Yeah, Dave, I think like player 2 you can attack as well. Yeah.
Oh, I do have an attack.
What?
All right,
We did something good?
we defeated the boss. We get out in front.
Dang, we do focus on the boss and not have to worry about the minions.
Oh man, there we go. All right, that worked out. All right, come on, button mash strategy. We got an edge here.
You might need a bit more help. You're right in front of me, you keep getting some help. And it's a little... But we did it anyway.
Hooray! It's finally over. Wait, of
Uh-oh.
course not. Right. All right. So, Air Console, sort of asymmetric side scroller bullet hell. Is that where we're? Can I describe this? One, there's a little thing to address here. I would say we're kind of in the space of a shooting game. We're very much in a genre, and like this genre is bullets coming from one side and dodging and shooting from the other side. I think fundamentally this would get classified as a shooting game, and so the interaction we're using is pushing a button to send a projectile, and that being how you interact. So part of me would have liked to have seen kind of like a twist on the genre. Like, would there have been a way to take this genre and, you know, take the constraint of no shooting violence and make it different, and see how it goes. I mean, one of the things I did like, that took us a second to get, is one character is sort of a shield for the bullets, and so I think the idea of absorbing is a nice adaptation of this. But I think I would have liked to have seen it pushed a little bit more beyond the standard sort of the standard tropes of the genre. That said, though, I think it's a good engaging space. You guys, like, especially when the enemy, the spiraling of the bullets appeared, like there's some good moments of the world sort of like opening up and sort of embracing kind of where this goes, which is getting more chaotic, getting more ambitious. I don't know, Heather, the controls, I think the air console controls are a little bit fighting this genre. I heard from testing that, you know, there was a sense that lag was more of an issue than teams anticipated. And I definitely felt that playing this. It's like we had to, I felt like I settled into a play style which minimized movement, because movement, the reactions of the movement didn't match what the world wanted me to do. Like, I wanted to be able to move quickly and anticipate things, but the lag was enough that it was like, I'm getting punished for moving.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't developed for air console, but I can see that, like, the whole idea is that you have an entire touch screen as your controller, and essentially, since you had the constraint to use webcam, microphone, or air console, this felt like not rising to that occasion, because this is just like replacing air console, replacing a regular standard controller with a less appealing, less responsive alternative, because you just have a controller in your hand and it has a flat screen. Like this could have been a lot more fun with just a standard, you know, Xbox controller or whatever, because so much is dependent on that precision of your ability to move in any direction really quickly and fluidly. And yeah, the air console didn't cut it for that for me. So yeah, I can see where this game could have been fun, but I'm not sure that it matched up well with the constraint of the challenge.
One of the things that I do appreciate about this is that we're, you know, the way it's linking us together, you know, remote across. And I think that's one place I would wonder about pushing is, how do you leverage the fact that we're not in the same space? And I think in some sense the asymmetry is I think a good nod in that direction, making us feel different and making that meaningful. I would say the style and the visuals and just even like the story and where it's going, I really appreciate it. I think this is, I mean, one of the nice things is you guys did go beyond in terms of like who we are, what we're trying to do, as a for like the visuals and the backstory in this. And it was a little confusing, I'll admit, at first. Like I don't think I could fully write out the story, but I kind of like the fact that, one, it explained why we were different. There's sort of like the idea that one of us, like, there's this, you know, two characters within a single person, and one is like the protector and can absorb, and then you guys using sort of the theming, it got a little, like, the enemies were kind of weird. I didn't have the time and attention so much to like stare at them and analyze and like, what is this exactly?
There was definitely a syringe going on in there somewhere. So yeah, like medical horror enemy.
But even like in the opening, like the shots of the characters, like there was like, I felt like one of the shots was a bunch of looked like bags of blood hanging out behind the character. So there's sort of like this sort of surreal space of like medical, psychological, and so the fact that you guys came up with a space and pushed on it a little bit and made it your own, I really appreciated. And the pacing of this, I think you guys did a good job of sort of in the classic space of like how to sort of boss fight and make those grow. I think definitely the ending of Wait, There's More. I was totally ready for. Wait, you guys put in like another boss fight, but obviously I think within the time constraints, doing that while it's completely in theme with this kind of game is I think legitimately out of scope. But it was nice to sort of see the progression of the levels and seeing the bullet patterns, all that stuff. So I think good job on getting those things to work. But I do agree, it did end up feeling sort of like a familiar game that I've sort of seen before. And I think the question would be, if you iterated this, where would you push on it? Like, where would you take this foundation and bring it to another level? And I think the question I would have is, how could you better use the pad? It's definitely a interesting challenge on like what to do with the attention. One thing that I did feel, and I think this is where I might take it, I didn't feel all that powerful because of the control constraints. There did seem to be a thing where you could gather the jars of medicine. There was some power up, and it seemed like that power up changed my weapon. Is that true?
Yeah.
I think one thing that I would have liked is more control over that. And I think I would have liked that to also reinforce my role as a character. So especially if it were different. So like, let's say I'm the protector. I'm sort of like the psychic, guardian angel or something like that. And if I gather stuff, I build it up and I can push a button on my controller, which releases this moment that does something.
Shield.
And shield, something like that. And Heather, like your other character, like you might be the one who has to like actually like provide the attacks. And if you gather them, then you release this. And something where we can strategize like, hey, I need this. And we had some of those moments where like, hey, let me get out in front and block the bullets. And I think that's a good like first tier like relationship, but a way to sort of strategize around, oh, we need to gather these, do you need that? And get that conversation going. And then deploying it. I think especially on that deploying, can you make me feel powerful and strategic? I think one of the things that the pattern we fell into, which is if we just sit here and mash the buttons, it doesn't make you feel that powerful. It makes you sort of feel like we're just sort of waiting. We're like this, now it's turning to work. And the power-ups might be a way to get that out of this.
Yeah, and I think another way to push further into what was fun and the fantasy of it is the fact that you're two halves of a single person. Like, how can you reinforce that the interaction between the players feels like we are of one mind and we kind of know what each other needs and needs to do, and before the person even has to ask, we're already starting to do that, but we're communicating about what our strategy is or whatever. Just kind of like make them feel more of a unit as they learn to play together. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, actually, and thinking about how I felt as we were playing, when my character died, I was sort of surprised because I ran out of energy because I wasn't gathering stuff. I think another direction to go, if you were doing something more time on it, is that moment of death and possibly rebirth. Like the idea that I would get pulled back into the main character and you'd have to do something to get me back out. I can basically like the idea of reinforcing the relationship, I think is a good direction to go in. So I think overall I think it's a little bit shooty. Like there's definitely a little bit of like shooting going on. But I think good execution on the gameplay type. And I like, especially like the story and the relationship you set up, there's a lot of potential there. And that I think if you iterated, that's where I would put a lot of the focus is. How do you make that relationship, that story, be more felt and come more alive? So,
may I answer some questions?
Sure.
Yeah. So the first would be, as you said, like at first our design would be like the second character who like get power from the bullets. She does not really attack, and as you said, like she supports the player one, and then to attack. But we went out of time at the end, and then we couldn't finish it, and so we just make both of them like have the same pattern and kind of like that. And in terms of the game genre, so none of our team member was thinking that it would be a shooting game until like the plays test last night. One of the TAs said, "Oh, it looks like a shooting game," and then we realized, "Oh, is this?" Because all of us think like shooting game is like a FPS or like those style, and we meant to make our game like an adventure style, especially like when I said like play 2 is not going to like shoot, and she's gonna support the player one. So yeah, probably because of the time constraint, we have to make both play have the same attack pattern, and that makes it like more like a shooting game.
Yeah.
And also,
so-
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in our opinion, the shooting is not the main idea of the game.
Yeah.
It's just a method of battle.
Yeah.
The main idea is the character 1 and character 2, their collaboration and their work together. They used to like fighting for who can control the body, but when they face their enemy, they need to stay together and collaboration. That's what our main idea is.
There's what you want and what you are saying, and then there's what the game says. And the game says, I'm a shooter. So, the unfortunate thing is, and that's why it's always, well, maybe not always, Dave could say, but why the ETC has these kinds of constraints is because shooting is like the path of least resistance. It's like the most banal, easiest thing to go for in terms of game mechanics. So fighting against it is really quite a big challenge. And I think your team discovered that, like, even up to the last moment, realizing that like doing things that aren't projectiles makes it harder. It just does. So yeah.
Well, and I think as well the challenge of scope. Like I think what you guys this one is really ambitious. I think like let's be clear. You guys are trying to deal with levels and progression, but more importantly, just where you're talking about a story and a relationship that you want to express through gameplay. And man, it turns out that expressing story and gameplay and fantasy through all that stuff is hard. And like the challenge of how do you make guests feel like they're cooperating, that they're dealing with the tension of like controlling one body, that they're breaking out of a medical institution and like they're trying to like free themselves, that they're fighting against like possible like reality versus perceived illusions. A lot of like really interesting stuff and story that you can talk about, but getting a guest to feel it is another thing. And that's where scope comes in, because what happens is, and this is a lot of game development, is you start with the things that have been and been developed. Like the reason why we have a lot of patterns of this game type or this game type isn't because developers are lazy. It's because making games is hard, and reinventing or inventing brand new ways of interacting is extra hard. And I think the strategy you picked, which is an interesting story, sort of a novel story with an existing game type, is a really strong strategy for scope. And I think if you guys had another week, there's a good chance you'd be like, oh, we've got this feedback. How can we reinforce this relationship? And how can we instead of it making you feel like the whole game is about dodging bullets and shooting bullets, how can we make it feel like it's these two characters and their relationship? And I think to be like this is 6 days worth of work. The idea that you would have like conquered this genre and reinvented something and made this complicated story come to life with interactions is absurd. And I think the fact that you've gotten to a place where you can sort of see that and feel that is a really powerful thing to celebrate. Like this isn't like, oh, look, you've just reinvented you've made a game that's kind of already made. This is, you're trying for a game that's mixing these two, the story and these emotions and this idea with a genre that may be able to support it, may not. And I think what you have shows where there's a lot of potential. Like even just, I think a week of iteration, you could get something that is close to that. And that's because you put a week of work into this. That's really, really compelling.
Yeah, and also there's one more thing I want to say about the Air console. So you guys mentioned so in terms of the delay, it's actually not from the control itself. It's like more like from Zoom. So because you guys are seeing the screen from like someone else. And when you play the game itself, like yourself on your own computer, there's not much delay. And I think one more good thing about the Air console compared with like other consoles is that you can literally play anywhere. So I sent a website in our game website on the chat, and like everyone else can go to their Chrome, open it, and then they can immediately play with their friends. So it's like a way more easier and convenient way to play a game compared with like other like a desktop, like a PS style, like those things. So I think that's one of the good thing about the Air console.
Yeah. I've had good experiences with other projects in previous semesters. So yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about the delay caused by Zoom. I think, yeah, the delay wasn't as much of a problem as just the fact that it's a genre that depends on quick movement, and console controllers are designed to make that very easy to change what button you're pressing and to know without looking at your hands, and the Air console is just not good at that.
Yeah, I do agree.
Cool. Well, good work. And let's get ready to move on to next team.
All right. Next, we are on 21.
It's also a 2-player game.
I like cake.
I'm gonna set up the link real quick. All right, there's the code.
All right.
I like how this song is like Girl from Ipanema, but with the melody slightly changed so it doesn't violate any copyrights.
All right. I'm the left leg. All right. I'm intrigued. Like the visuals are like there's donuts and cake, and I've been told I'm the left leg and we have to eat. So I'm really curious where this is going. All right.
Okay, I'm the right
Control
leg.
the little cake. Move, jump. All right. So I'm left. You're right, I take it?
At the moment, so we'll see how this goes. Be careful about the reverse Wonderland.
Oh no.
Start with the left.
Jump. Oh. I'm just hitting jump. Oh no.
Yeah, I'm kind of hitting it at the pace that I hear the bouncy noise, the blanking noise. I don't know if that's a good strategy because of all the lags, but
Is there a way to turn?
maybe turning has to be one or the other of us, but I do not know which one.
All right, you hit jump and see if that. I'm thinking like, can we?
No,
How
I think
we?
we have to.
I'm gonna try it. I feel like I feel
Yeah,
like
that's fine. Maybe we have to go faster, like left, right, left, right.
Yeah, you don't need to jump now. You can just walk.
Well, I don't
Wait.
have any button except jump.
I just have jump.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
I don't have any
there's
walk button. Sorry.
Yeah, I've got that.
you're supposed to have like a trackpad as well on the other side. I guess it didn't show.
Oh, it's there. It's just invisible. If you hold your finger over it and like move around, you can
Oh,
Oh,
there it is.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, I don't know why that happened. Okay.
All right. Let's
Not that I
Right.
know really what.
jump.
I'm trying to
Oh,
go
yeah,
left.
here we go. Forward. I'm still trying to mentally figure out what does it mean for me to be the left leg in
Yeah.
terms of the controls.
I think we have to jump now because the
Yeah.
hammer is too tall. Jump.
Jump. Oh, come on. Ah! All right.
And what does it mean for a left leg to go left or right? Does it just mean we both have to go the same direction?
I haven't been able to figure it out yet. All right, here we go.
Which way?
Reverse Wonderland, reverse control.
Uh,
Left?
so down,
Yeah.
back.
All
We haven't even gotten forward really quite going yet, so this is.
right, all right.
I'm hitting down the back button, hoping that that means we go forward, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe it's always moving forward, so I just have to do.
There we go. Okay. I think the back button makes this way.
So I'm hitting the right button. Now I have to hit the left button to.
Back. Here we go. All right. Forward. We're close.
We're really close.
Are we out of Reverse Wonderland? Yes, we're
Yeah,
leaving
we
Reverse
are. We still have to decide which way, and that means we have to talk.
Let's go this. Yeah, like
Well, okay, now what's happening?
let's go to the left. Looks like, or sure. I see like a path up ahead. Oh, there we go. We got a mouth up ahead, I think.
It's gonna be hard to go down that straight away.
And we got this.
Go right. Yeah, but not too right. Not too right.
All right. Straight
Yeah.
to freedom.
So-called freedom. Wow. I think we're lucky that had an auto rescue feature. Oh, we're at the top of the scoreboard. Yeah.
Woo! Wow. So actually, team, I'm kind of curious. We were assigned left leg and right leg. What does that mean in the world?
So if you're controlling left leg or right leg, it means you only have control to that leg. So basically left leg means you're only controlling that leg. So if both of you press different buttons, you would actually see the legs split apart. So basically it's like you're controlling like the right hand of the brain, she's controlling the left hand of the brain, and you're both need to work together like, okay, I need to
It's
catch
not
up
exactly
with that.
like it's not like tank controls per se, but
Yeah. I sort of expected tank controls where if and it sounds more like it's about agreement.
Yeah, it is more
Um,
about agreement. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's how it ended up feeling was we both sort of need to match our controls rather than figure out a pattern of like taking turns to make things move. And I
right,
definitely
we have to agree somehow.
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, my brain was like paddling a canoe. It's like, okay, maybe if the right leg goes now, we'll pivot, and left leg goes, we'll pivot.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought maybe there was an alternation thing. Like it would have to be like Dave, Heather, kind of like a. There's race it like the folk games where like you tie one leg together and then you have to like figure out how to alternate to walk. I had a feeling it might be like that.
Well,
So-
and I think my brain, like since we were given just one button at the beginning because that's all we could see, my brain was like, okay, it's a very one dimension of control for myself. And my first reaction was, this is very QWOP.
QWOP.
Like
Not co-op, but QWOP, just to make sure people know what you're.
Yeah.
Just to like explain the reference going on here.
Yeah, like I mean, so people know QWOP. It's making a person walk by controlling the individual parts of the legs. It's an intentionally frustrating and difficult control scheme about individual parts of like locomotion.
Or
It
yeah, there was
result-
a whole genre of that, right? Like the one where you're an octopus. You know,
Yeah.
your dad.
Octodad.
There,
Oh.
yeah, that would be it. You're an octopus and a dad. What's it called?
Okay.
And actually that vibe at the beginning, I really liked. I mean, like you've got a kind of a ridiculous world. Like this is not a world about taking things seriously. Like we start off, it's like about eating cake, and there's like these really crazy, colorful food everywhere, and we are this awkward cake creature with 2 legs, which is just, I don't know. It's immediately intriguing and immediately appealing.
Okay.
Everything just sort of like reinforces that really well, and I think that's the spirit that this really plays well with, is just being ridiculous, being fun, and the controls being awkward, and like failure is not a moment of like frustration. It's sort of a moment of like, and it should be funny. Like it should be like, we're trying to make it go, and I think those are the best parts, where it felt like the fact that we were struggling to cooperate resulted in our own failure, and the places where it was a little frustrating was where we didn't really know what we were supposed to be doing, or like what the controls meant, and it felt more like the world was impeding us.
Oh.
And I think for me, actually, on balance, like most of this was pretty enjoyable. Like the changing landscape, to going into reverse land, trying to figure out what it meant, and then even leading up to like the final thing, like we got this balance beam to walk to jump into the mouth. Like overall, I think a lot of this was really successful.
We did
and I
learn
think-
how to cooperate a bit together more. So by the end, we were able to successfully make it across the tightrope, you say.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you kind of like talked yourself through it, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I felt, yeah.
So
And
it did accomplish that.
And I think the fact that we were talking is a really big thing to point out. Like this is a world, and I think it's a thing that multiplayer experiences should aspire to, is can you get the guests to like communicate and work together?
Okay.
And I think the fact that you assigned us one character to control and gave us a piece of that and forced us to figure that out and then use that was a really good strategy.
Very
Like
cool.
it kept things simple. Like this is a world which is really just about moving through the space. There aren't enemies. There isn't really any like extra moves or extra powers we have to worry about. But it's the simple circumstances make that challenging. And then you did a good job with the level design too. Like the different obstacles were visually interesting, and like we had to like make decisions about which way to go. There was some stuff like, you know, speaking of, you know, we have a short round, so like if you could iterate this, better visual indications of like, do I need to jump up? Is that a place that I can fall through? So like I was a little bit unsure of like, were we stuck? Did we need to jump and things like that? But for the most part, we conquered all that stuff, even though there was some pieces of confusion. And I think actually the idea of this world being about confusion a little bit and awkwardness helps all those moments. So when we do get stuck, it feels like it's more part of the world than if this were a world about precision and like being an expert and being really good.
Yeah, I'd say maybe the pinnacle of this genre is actually regular human basketball, if you've played that. If not, definitely go check it out. Yeah, it's in this same genre, but sort of taking that to the ultimate in like chef's kiss refinement of, so basically you're like giant robots, but you're run by 2 little creatures, but you are playing basketball on like a post-apocalyptic landscape, and so you're each running around to try to control one arm and one leg, and it's a madhouse, but it's so well executed to this exact ridiculousness, cooperation. Who knows what's going to happen because physics is going to come in there, and yeah, good stuff.
I think if I were to iterate this on controls, I would actually simplify it. The fact that we could do forward, back, left, right made my role less clear, because those verbs for a leg don't make that much sense to me. And so it made me feel less like I was controlling the left leg, and it made me feel more like we were two drivers in this vehicle, and we sort of had to agree about which way we went. I think simplifying things down to like, what does a leg do, and give me just like the left leg controls, and then we have to negotiate how to turn that into jump, or turn that into move forward, or turn that into turn. Would, I think, reinforce the roles we have, and I think it would make, in some sense, it would make our lives simpler because we have pure controls to worry about. But I think it would make the world more interesting and complicated in sort of a good way for how the space controls.
Okay. All right.
But like think like really great cohesion of like theme and giving us an interaction that reinforced that. And I think this totally qualifies as was a fun experience.
There was quite a twist though, because I thought I was going to be able to eat cake. I didn't know I was cake. That's the problem. I mean, not problem, but you know.
I'm sorry for that disappointment.
Yeah, really good work.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, those are the first three teams. I think we have a little bit of a break until 10:45 for the next stretch. A good appreciation for round 3 in terms of just fun, fast things. Definitely a different pace from round 2. And so I think we can go ahead and, if we want, pause things, and we're gonna sort of like get things back up at 10:45 for the next batch of teams.
Sounds good. Do you generally like kill the session, or do we just like pause and turn off our video, or what do you do?
I'm going to pause recording.
I'll just stop video and mute and all that. So
And I'm going to
10:45.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Just about ready to get started again. Welcome back, those of you who left and came back. Let me go ahead and resume recording. And with that, I'm going to get things ready to go again. So where we left off, we had seen the first three, 19, 20, 21. I believe we are going to move to the next three, 22, 23, and 24.
All right.
So
I will set up 22 now.
Team 22 wants to get their cameras on and get ready. And 22 is air
One
console,
player.
but one player?
Yep.
All right. Heather, do you want to take this one?
Steph, are you sound sharing? There should be sound happening.
I am. Do you not hear it?
I hear it now.
It's like pretty faint.
Give me a second.
Yeah, like I can only hear the percussion really.
Is that better?
A bit. What do you think, Heather? Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting a delay or anything, but I'm definitely hearing a full orchestral interpretation. So, okay. Oh, that's
How are you controlling this?
my interface looks a lot like this. I don't know if it's supposed to have more, but right now it's a black square.
Like a touchpad.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
There you go.
I don't know if I'm
Ooh.
out. Sorry. I actually can't.
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
3, 2, 1.
In your eyes. That's what I'd have more fun if I could actually move.
3, 2, 1. Are you having a good day today?
classic feeling.
3, 2, 1. Just patient, please. So, how's your family doing? Three, two, one.
So yeah, you can restart if you think that you can do better, but at this point you've seen everything, so.
Yeah, I don't think I can do any better than that. I think I was obviously getting into it, having fun role playing, and I think there was the frustration though that like maybe it's just like the dial needs to be tweaked a little bit on how effective my brushing is, because I really felt like I was barely making any progress, and I didn't feel like I could therefore learn how and get better. Maybe just because again the touchpad it's a little hard because like there's a dot on the screen, there's also the toothbrush. I guess the dot is like an actual tracking of where it thinks I am on the touchpad, and then the toothbrush kind of like has a little bit of easing to bring it to that spot or something. But I kind of felt like it was a little hard to, I mean, it was hard to control the location, you know, and you can use that as part of the gameplay, but it was a little, because it was so hard to, the plaque is very tough on these dinosaurs' teeth, and all I have is like, I don't even have like a watered pick or anything like that. So maybe I could have, yeah, maybe I would have earned a better tool if I had played long enough. I don't know. But it just felt like it to turn the dial a little bit on how successful I could be would make it more engaging, because I started to get a little depressed about my poor dental hygienist skills.
Well, I think you can blame the dinosaurs for their lack of flossing.
Yes,
making your life more difficult.
But oh god, there has to be like a, so have you flossed lately? Yeah, definitely.
I mean, my reaction, like just from the setup, was the premise and the humor of this is really nice. The idea of you know, there's plenty of endless humor in T-Rex. T-Rexes have short arms, and so sending them to the dentist is really nice. I just like the way you guys sort of leaned into that. I would have liked to have seen, I don't know, I think I would have seen a little bit more. I think we sort of, as the world progressed, like the fact that the mouse started moving and there's like that, the whole like, you know, built-in dialogue and mumbling was a really great sort of escalation of that humor. And I think that was, I was sort of missing like the beginning sort of like set me up, and I was sort of missing that next immediate line of humor. But sort of, I think the kickoff was just like, oh, we're brushing the teeth of a T-Rex. I was like looking for, I think a little bit more like reinforcement of the story and the fantasy in those first few moments that kind of kicked in when we got braces and like picked up. But the fundamental premise, I think, was really cute, and the music and the animation and all that stuff, I think, tied into it. But yeah, watching you, Heather, I was struggling to get a sense of progress and success, because like you said, you had to leave each mouth with a lot of you know, plaque and debris on the teeth, and it was hard watching to know if you were doing well, if you're doing poorly. I think that's, and I noticed there was like, as the patient went to the side, there's a lot of like minus like 10 cents floating in the air, which I'm guessing is the world like saying, hey, for every piece you left on the mouth, you lost money. How did you gain money? Did you get a sense of that, Heather? Like how you?
I only noticed the money thing much later. I was very much more focused on trying to get my aim proper for what was on the teeth. So I didn't get a sense of like, I don't remember if there was any immediate feedback after you get rid of one that you have successfully gained money. I think it wasn't clear.
Well, and I had the luxury of being able to like look around the whole screen And there was definitely an interface on the side, which was like, I think money you had, and then there was money, which was your target money. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, because the target, the goal kept going up. I guess, team, could you talk a little bit about the little economy and this, you know, what that goal target was?
So Thomas, are you willing to talk about it? I can talk about in general, like the goal is like the money you need to earn. And like there should be money after you clean every dirt on the teeth, then they will show like the money you earn. But because Heather didn't clean every like dirt, so I think the money didn't show up. And then I'm not quite sure like the programming details after that. But yeah, that's the goal. The goal will keep increasing for each stage, and then you need to earn the money and to keep up with that goal. If you fail to reach that goal, then you will lose the game.
Okay, okay.
I guess we had a bug. You're supposed to see like a big green like indicator of what you actually earned, but it's $10 minus the penalties.
Okay.
So you start with a set maximum and you lose for everything you missed. Yeah. And then in some sense, each dinosaur is like a round, and that round has a goal. Yeah. Like, yeah. Exactly. And I guess the thing I was confused about was I don't think Heather ever reached the goal, and so I wasn't sure what the goal meant in terms of success or failure, because it looked like she was constantly behind the goal. Yeah, so it's like you have a goal per round of like what you should earn by the next round, and if you don't meet the goal, you lose. So the first few rounds were fine.
Was the goal wasn't like a completely clean teeth? It was you just do the best you can.
Gotcha. So, and I think for me, like just watching it, the goal is sort of like what you need to achieve this round, but then as soon as you change to the next round, the goal jumps up because you're on a new round. And so that moment of comparison of like, how much money did I get this round, every time I saw it, I was comparing it to the future goal, like the current goal. So I think there's like a story to tell of what it means to clean teeth and get money for it, and then achieve the goal. And but at the same time,
from an experiential perspective, all I cared about was like, could I get all of the teeth clean? Yeah. So it's kind of a little strange that there's this difference between what you're actually trying to achieve and what is possible. And you know, why did you make the choice not to just only put as much debris on the teeth as was in the goal? Like, what was that choice about?
It was poor tuning. You're supposed to, like, the controls don't work as well as we would have liked them to. With easier controls, it would be like, it's possible to clean a lot in the time given, but because of the difficulty of the controls, it's not really feasible in practice.
Yeah, there's a lot of tuning that you have to leave time at the end of what you're doing to allow for all of the iterations on the tuning, and then you only had a week or whatever, 6 days or something. So yeah.
I also
try to scope toward being able to tune a lot on things that you do.
Yeah, I know we designed that the first few rounds is really easy, so you get to feel like how to brush, and so it's hard to fail on the first round. And then like when you like get the later rounds, it's like if you cannot keep up with the dirt, brush the mouse, you will fail. So we give players some time to adapt to this our like mechanism.
I didn't feel like that. It felt like the first rounds had a lot of plaque. Maybe it's just, I don't know if it's the lag, maybe because of the Zoom call, and obviously like the hit spot is like going to matter too. Like if your brush hit spot is a little bigger, then it's easier to find and, eliminate the plaque. But I was just like zooming past it a lot and couldn't land on it long enough to like go across it enough times to get rid of it. And yeah, there's just so many little things you could tweak, and like how many times going across it does it take before it finally disappears, and you know, infinite number of variables.
Yeah, and I think one of the big lessons of making games is tuning is hard, because games have a lot of variables, and even just like you guys have a simple world, but the variables for like tuning the cleaning are, like you were saying, Heather, you know, the speed the toothbrush moves at, the size of the toothbrush, the size of the food particles, the actual like hit box that you have to hit on either one. You can make the brush bigger, you can make the brush visually bigger, you make the brush virtually bigger. The timing of things, the number you need, just the number you see on the screen, how far apart they are, and then you've got an economy which is advancing to the next level, and it's just a lot of little things, and it ties into game feel, like how satisfying is it to knock a piece off. It ties into sort of like the tuning of score and success, and I think just over and over again, the things you discover are the sooner you can get to a place where you can test it and feel it, and especially see how people react to it, the sooner you can get a sense of what's working and how to make it better. And
you know, I think if you hadn't already, having the programmers need to kind of reveal or expose those variables so that people that are doing design can tweak them really quickly and iterate on those is one way to get that going, you know, just that loop going a lot faster. And then also one thing that could have added to it is a bit of juiciness on when you actually are successful, because right now the only thing you know is that like it fades out a tiny fraction of amount, right? Like, so like maybe if there had been some kind of like tiny particles that flew off when you successfully hit it, so that you knew that you had gotten somewhere, would have made, even though it was slow going, would have given the player a bit more feedback about their success.
But I think everything here is, all the pieces are moving in the right direction and are pieces that add up to a really compelling experience. And especially the best moments were those moments where the world like sets you up in the place of, I'm a dentist and I'm doing this stuff, and plays with that humor. And then I think the tuning would get you to sort of like ease into that better. Like, so you're more like, I'm successfully cleaning, and then surprising me with moments that both play into the gameplay of what I'm doing, but also like the fantasy of it. And like the idea of using, I don't know, were the braces an obstacle?
Yeah, they block you.
Yeah.
Perhaps it would be better if we could show the video. There was a display bug. So, what do you think?
Do we have time for that, or do we have to move on?
Our video is kind of long because I was using the mouse controls, so I was a little better at it. So I don't know.
A part of the video.
Well, okay, yeah, fair enough.
Just like the success.
I guess if we get it queued up to the spot, I guess, Steph, do you have that available?
Yeah, give me a second. Which folder is it in?
In Final. It's just called like our team name.mp4.
But I think the design choices you're making are all in the right direction. So like, and sometimes just emphasizing those, like the humor, the fantasy, like all that stuff. And then there's a little bit of tuning and just getting the guest to feel success on the things you want to feel. And I think one of the big takeaways here is you guys designed a definition of success that isn't really being felt by the guest, which is success is earning money. But I think playing this, success is cleaning teeth. And I think that's, if I were to put an emphasis on iteration, it would be aligning those two things together. Is how do you get success in my activities to echo the success that the world is tracking? And I think that would result in things where it seemed like the ending is a little bit of surprise, because the success of cleaning teeth was sort of at a constant, but the success of earning money was telling a different story. And like this is what iteration is about. Like you guys designed something and built something, which is a very plausible and very logical way to think about this. And then on like playtest and iteration, watching a guest try it, you can sort of see that the fantasy they're buying into is very much about cleaning the teeth and leaving, half of the plaque on the teeth feels like failure, even though in the first level, Heather was well above the threshold for money, apparently.
Yeah.
I think that's a place I was like, look for that iteration.
Yeah, I felt like a failure, even though apparently I didn't know I was succeeding. On this screen in particular, and maybe that's what you're going to show, that there's more feedback that we can, better understand our success. On this screen, one thing that would make it really funny is if like it really was like a life-size T-Rex, not a like tiny baby T-Rex, and all you see here is like its giant foot and one of its little hands, so it's like looming over you. That would be funny. With a bag of money, of course.
How far into the video do you want me to go?
Is that a question to us or to Dave? Just a few minutes is fine, like 1 or 2.
All right.
But sure, okay. I thought you meant how far till when should you play it?
Oh no, I meant like.
Yeah, just skip the instructions and then yeah.
Well, are we looking to see the how the braces work? Wasn't that?
Yeah, and there should be a money display actually, like when you finish a level.
This definitely appears to be a person who knows what they're doing cleaning the teeth.
It's also the virtual controller versus the phone. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, it's still not there. Okay, well, it's a bug, but there's supposed to be a display of how much you actually earn.
2, 1.
With the braces.
How do the braces work?
2, 1.
The little square in the center is just a collider, and the toothbrush, your yellow dot is where your mouse is, and the toothbrush tries to go there. But if there's a brace in the way, you have to make sure the toothbrush actually goes around.
Yeah, and like that's a really clever use of like the fantasy and the fiction to build into level design, and I think this is where you could iterate this for a while just to get that feel and like make the braces really feel like a barrier. But like I said, all your instincts and all your design choices are going in a really good direction. It's mostly about tuning and getting the alignment of what you want the fantasy to feel like to actually be felt by the guest.
Agreed.
Cool. But yeah, great work. A lot of really good, funny moments in that.
All right, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Right. With team 22. Moving on to team 23. And I think we are moving up to a 4-player experience. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. We need a code.
Yeah, give me a second.
So, I think Karen and I will join.
I think we're going to use our phone to rotate controls. I see a video embedded which implies something here. Who am I? I don't know who I am, but I'm sure I'm one of these. Up there? Okay, sorry. Who's there too? How do you know which player we are?
You need to like shake your phone to get ready.
How do I
But
wait?
the video is not a demonstration of what I should do. I have something different in this video.
Gotcha. Who am I?
who I am.
Is there a way to know who I am?
Except by moving, maybe? I don't know. So hold still and see what happens.
I'm player 1, so rule out player 1.
I think
I
I'm
know
player
I'm player
3.
1.
I think I'm player 3.
Oh.
I still don't know, because everything seems to be moving and I'm not moving. I'm physically not moving my phone, but...
Look for the magic potion and become the hunter. What does that even mean?
That's player 4.
How do I get out of the lake? I'm just stuck.
It seems some of the player might have like a
Raw trampoline's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, you can see that.
Oh no!
That was probably me. I have no idea what's happening.
I have no idea which player I am.
You're either 3 or 4, because I'm 1.
Oh really? I thought I was 2.
Yeah. Or, okay, maybe.
I can still move and swipe to move, but I don't know what to do.
Give me the potion.
What does the magic potion even look like?
I think it's up there on the rock, like the floating rock. So you need to get on the bouncy mat.
How do I get out of this puddle? Wait, I think I'm out.
Oh no.
Is there a way to get move?
Not when you're in the sky, I think.
How do you get the potion?
Hey Dave, I think we should just watch the video because the controls are lagging out and you guys are basically stuck at the level.
Okay, so what should we do?
Just go to the video because I think if you stream the main game screen on Zoom, it's gonna be super laggy for everybody.
Oh.
I said, wait, there's no way for us to succeed in the experience now?
So if there's only one player in the playground, that's the winner. But now you guys are basically 2 players stuck at the same level.
Shouldn't somebody be able to up on a trampoline and get the potion at this point?
Yeah, get the potion, become the hunter, and then hunt the other player. That is the purpose of the game.
Okay, so one of us need to figure out how to get that potion, and
Yeah, you have to win after getting the potion and become a
Oh,
hunter.
there you go! Yay!
Oh,
Yes.
oh my god!
All right,
Yes.
it happened.
So I need to like
Yeah, you
run
help
away.
Dave. Yes.
No!
Ah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I see how this is go.
Now I want the potion.
One suggestion is that you can actually swipe your phone to change the view.
I tried it didn't work.
Okay. So.
Oh.
Or maybe it did work and I just couldn't tell it was working because I thought it meant change the view on the phone. I mean, change the view on basically camera controls to change things.
Gotcha.
Oops, sorry.
Are we supposed to be attacking each other? I don't think you
Not
need to
until we
apologize for
become
bumping into
the
me.
hunter.
Yeah, as of now, you guys cannot hurt each other.
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling like finishing this game would be taking a little more time than we actually have.
All right.
Hey, Neil, you're not muted.
Nice.
Oh, it's Roly Bolly. I thought it was Dolly, like that. The font on that head, the title. I thought it was Dolly, and it's Roly, obviously.
Yeah, it's Roly. Like your role to become a ball and just hunt others.
Yeah, but that font is definitely not very legible. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The basic. I mean, I know you guys were talking about latency, but if you'd asked me, like, was there latency in that experience? I probably would have said no.
It's actually one bug for the Ngrok. Like some of the player will have like really huge latency, but some of them just don't. Like, yeah, the internet will like just stop the user. Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is the control scheme is this tilting, like controlling a rolling character on a physics-driven landscape. And there's enough mix of like, is it the hill? Is it the controller? That I couldn't identify like how responsive the controls were. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it wasn't. I think it was a good choice to like hide lag. Like it felt a little floaty, but the world sort of says this is going to be a little floaty. It's going to be a little hard to control, and so control-wise, it was mostly like it to me it felt intentional and okay. I think the thing that was definitely a challenge was just the confusion. Like, who am I? Like which character am I? And just having to navigate that and figure that out. And then like there's a lot of hidden things like the swipe to change screen. Like what does the potion look like? And once basically, I feel like this is a world where if I played it and I learned all that stuff, and then I had a lot of confidence at the beginning, like this is who I am, and so what we're doing, it would be a different experience. And so like the immediate barriers are just some of that confusion, some of that frustration of what's going on here and what's happening.
Yeah,
but
I imagine I could have had fun, but I can't say that I did, I'm afraid. Like never once did I actually figure out which character I was, because not only did it not tell me, like it could have told me on my device who I was, but it didn't. And then my movement didn't communicate it either. Maybe I had the worst lag, but I literally like held my phone still and there was no character holding still on the screen or even just like rolling downhill. Like, and I didn't know orientation wise, like if it cared which way I was, because left and right, or is it left and right? Like, does it matter? I tried everything and never once did I actually know who I was. So I didn't feel like I had participated in this game at all. So I'm pretty sad. I didn't have fun.
And the clarity of who you are, and it's sort of like a small thing, but it turns out to be a really big part of like getting into an experience like this. And it's surprisingly tricky at times. Because we all logged in, we all sort of like said success, but we were missing that little piece of information, which is this is yours. And it definitely, like, if we had that, I think that it would transform the experience. One thing I really appreciated though was you guys used a control scheme that let me stare at the screen and not at my phone. And so the attention split was really well balanced. Like this was very much on, like, I'm watching the screen, I'm like seeing where people are. I'm like, when that's working, like I'm engaged in the experience in a way that I'm not like fighting like an attention, like trying to figure out like, okay, where should I push on the controller? And that's a good design choice.
And the video at the beginning theoretically was helpful. Again, the video at the beginning was showing you what you were going to do when you were playing the game, but to actually start the game, you were supposed to do something totally different that it did not show you. So I didn't, that was hard to understand. And then once, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the controller display could have reinforced the controls with some kind of thing, but it actually had text going this way. So it was like, well, if I'm reading it, it looks like I'm supposed to hold it like a regular phone is oriented. So I may have forgotten by that point, because I'm in the game and I'm trying to understand what's happening. I look down at my phone and it's looking like this. I would maybe not remember back to that video that I had only briefly seen at the beginning. So some kind of keeping the consistency and having all the parts of the game communicate the right thing at the right time could have also helped a lot.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of little signals that, like, this is just sort of like the challenge of getting something to come together and be sort of cohesive and clear in the right ways quickly. And I think like there's a lot of little things that you want to communicate. You want to get the guests to know who they are. You want them to understand controls. I mean, I had the question of like, what is it? Like, you have a little text on the screen. It's like, get the potion. And I was like, potion? Like, what potion are we talking about? And it's kind of clear once we sort of bounce and you can finally see it. But it's a little piece of information that I don't have, that once I've played through the experience and I've learned all that, now it makes sense. And I think it's always a piece of design to think about, how does your guest learn those things, and where is the line between, is something that once they know it, it's obvious and you can just assume it, versus you need to reinforce it and you need to like help them learn it. And I think the controls are like a really good starting point in terms of like using the phone to tilt. Having a piece of feedback which like lets me know how the controls are working so I can work with that, I think would be a place to be helpful. And then there's like those pieces of just finding a fast way to get me to know who I am and get that to happen, as soon as possible, as clearly as possible, would be a good shift in this. The simplicity of this is really good though. We've got a level that has a good amount of interest. The trampolines were a fun little moment, like just rolling over them and like being launched in the air was like, that in of itself was interesting. It was a little frustrating to be in the air and then see the potion and not be able to go to it, because you'd trained me to move and sort of expect that movement. And I think that last little frustration of how do I control to get to that was another place I'd shifted. Like if you gave me in-air controls, that might successfully resolve that.
That was a question I had too. Was there no in-air control? Was it all based entirely on the angle of your approach to the trampoline?
It felt that way to me. By team, can you clarify?
Yeah, it's like when you're on the air, you can actually still control the character.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a game feel question of how do you get the guests to understand that, and it's like that was probably one of my most frustrating moments. Was I knew what I wanted to do. I felt like I had the ability to like I could get to the trampolines, but that last little piece of getting to the potion was a challenge. But once I got it, like the idea of like turning spiky and going and attacking the other characters was really satisfying. Like even though it was like just down to one other person, that moment I think showed what this world gets to. And when you get to that spot where you're fighting to get that one potion, and then you're like people are suddenly fleeing, that reversal is really strong, and it's like a really, really good design choice. And all that together, like simple characters, a relatively simple space, a simple target, and the fact that you're doing 4-player, so like a lot of that interest doesn't have to come from the world. It can come from the fact that I'm playing with 3 other humans, are all really good choices and make for a well-scoped experience. And I think it's just a few little iterations and like clarity points that let that sort of get expressed much faster.
Yeah.
It emphasizes the importance of UI, because the game can be fun in a vacuum, but if no one can understand what they're, it can't live out there without the players. So the UI that gets people into the game is obviously very important.
Is it possible for us to like show the video, because like we have the video of 3 players, like 3 first-time players, like play on a local network with no latency? It's actually a pretty good play.
I mean, I guess we could sort of watch it really quickly. Like, is there a spot in there that you especially want us to look to?
The entire video is 5 minutes long. I think you can just jump in the middle of it and just, it's basically the core gameplay.
Okay, I think it's worth seeing a little bit of like the hunting moment with multiple players.
Yeah.
Steph, do you think you could cue that up?
Yep.
And it's, I mean, it's all, I think, in context of 1 week. One thing that we're going to start talking more about is festival, and how do you create an experience that we can share with, multiple people simultaneously around the world, and think about how to design for lag, for latency, and make that part of the experience and make the world work with it, as we think we talk more about, especially when we get to round 5, when it become much more explicitly what you want to think about. All right, go ahead and take a look at this. All right, I think we get a good sense of this. I will say, watching this, it does look like the controls are much more responsive, and just that shift is an interesting design challenge of like local versus remote. But yeah, I think watching it, I could see the control in midair being a bit more effective and getting that. And I imagine playing it locally will give you that much more direct control feel, which probably resolves a little bit of the confusion of who you are. So that was good to see.
Thank you.
Good work, guys. So with that, we move on to Team 24, last team of the morning.
Dave, is there any way that like we could be playing, if not, I mean, over a network, but not also through Zoom to make things, make these problems a little, like we play it and then that gets, screen shared, but I'm not watching the screen share to play it. Is there a way to do that, or is?
So only one person would be able to have it locally, because it basically acts just like a hub, and you can't really have both people running the hub at the same time. And then it takes a while to actually load up everything, which is why I'm running everything from my computer.
Okay, so there's not like a there's no way I can just network-wise be directly connected to the game running on your PC. It has to be that we're just doing this through the screen share at the moment.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. I mean, it's not the team's fault that this is the case, but it is actually our reality right now, so me.
Right. This is Team 24.
Yep. Just give me a second to set up.
Steph, did you share music, audio?
It's not playing yet. I had to
Okay.
Make it so I could edit a certain file. I'll turn up the volume in a second. All right.
1, 4, 2. Ooh. All right, I see a grid of circles. That is right. All right. Sweet. All right, I'm player 2. Draw any pattern to cast spell within the next. Mimic your spells. Each player has 4 hearts. All right, I'm a witch.
Yep, we're doing this.
All right.
I just did a thing. I don't know. Am I supposed to be like the dot thing?
Uh-oh. Are you doing random stuff now?
I started out doing random stuff, and then I was like, wait, do these dots mean something on the screen? Not on this screen, but there's these 3 dots.
All right. I think I successfully defended.
I think you did, but I mean.
Yeah. The success sound effect wasn't implemented, so it's hard to tell.
Oh, there's 3.
Take that.
Okay. Uh-oh, this one is hard.
Exactly. Deal with it.
Ah! Oh, now I'm attacking. Oh, I have to sneeze too. This is gonna be hard.
What's that?
Yeah. What?
Is that it?
No, that's not it. But I like right now we can't see that our attacks are having any effect. That's a little bit.
Yes, so the animations weren't finished, so it's really hard to tell what's going on right now. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
And I see that Dave has one less heart than me, but I didn't notice when that went away. And also it's been centering them, so like you don't get that sense of there being an empty heart, so it's a little bit visually not
Yeah.
clear.
Yes.
Can you lose multiple hearts on a single round, or can you only lose one heart?
You can lose multiple. Yeah.
That's interesting. Like one of the things I've noticed, like the mechanic of like drawing symbols is really interesting, and the strategy of like hiding start and end points is a really kind of fascinating piece here. Oh man, what happened? I guess much time.
I'm attacking you. Yeah, and although I noticed, of course, that you have the line has the gradient on it, so that you can a little bit better tell directionality. But I don't know if green or blue for like Dave doesn't know if pink or blue is the beginning or end for me. He could do it backwards. And I don't know if blue or green is the beginning or end for him, right? If it matters. I don't know.
The beginning and end don't matter as long as it's the same shape. So.
Yeah, the turn taking is a little bit confusing.
I think we're definitely running into some bugs of like how this is playing out.
I didn't quite make that one long enough. Yeah, I feel like what I'm doing right now is kind of random, like the timing of when it's the right moment to enter a certain spell. Like my spells, do they just need to be unique to be attacks, and do they need to be copying Dave's to be defenses? Like, and then like, is there a left to right thing? Because Dave has these 3 spells. I currently only have 2 because sometimes I don't get a third one in fast enough. But are they like queuing up and disappearing left to right? I'm having a bit of a hard time.
So yeah, because we didn't have the animations implemented, it's really unclear, unfortunately. So yeah, if it was properly implemented, then every time you would draw, you would see the attacks come up with the symbols. And when it was successful, it would hit the opponent. And there's also a damage sound effect, but that also wasn't implemented. So.
I will say there's pieces of this that are really compelling, like just the challenge of getting someone to mimic these shapes, and then the defense time is different than the attack time, and so my brain is working on stuff. Like I am in like within these pieces, I'm like trying to figure out like what should I do, and like looking at these patterns, like how do I do that? And I think there's definitely something here that I'm kind of fascinated by. Heather, you want to
Jump to the video if possible.
Call it at the end of the
Yes.
round.
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So I think a little note, we're going to show a video that the team worked beyond the deadline on. And so the video represents the potential future for iteration. But there's a reality, which is this video is post deadline. I think it kind of what it does, it helps show where this was going.
Okay. The art is cute.
No, and the style of this, it's you guys are doing, I think, all the right little, just enough. Like you're not getting like a full deep background of like why we're drawing spells, but it's just enough to get a sense of what's happening. And I think the art does a good job reinforcing it.
Oh.
All right.
One thing I noticed that those players were drawing extremely simple shapes, whereas, part of the fun for me was like, oh, how complicated can I make this, and like force Dave to like try to figure this out. I don't know if there's like an amount of like energy that you can use, and like it has to be short at the beginning because you run out of magic juice or whatever. That could be one way to like get the game to sort of gradually level up.
Yeah, the idea of like how do you add more strategy, and like what's like the risk reward here? Like what's the trade-off of like, do I go a bunch of small spells or do I go like one complicated spell? But the thing I really love is like this feels like a possibility with this. Like the basic idea is, my first reaction would be this would be hard to make work. But the choice, I think the grid pattern is a really, really strong choice for giving me an interface to make me understand what I'm doing, and taking the idea of sort of like abstract drawing a symbol to like cast a spell and turning it into a little like, almost like I'm designing a puzzle for my opponent. And this whole experience is about, I'm going to send you these puzzles and your job is to solve them as fast as possible, and that back and forth. And that's to me, that was a really compelling, like little interaction loop of, can I send challenging puzzles and see how Heather can handle them, and then receive them on my end, and actually thinking about making them and then doing them. They were both interesting. Like thinking about, how like that, like especially Heather, when you like sent overlaps, it was like, oh crap, like I can't see where that goes and I'm guessing. And that was really good. That was like me reacting to the challenge of your spell in a way that felt like it reinforced the world and what I was supposed to be doing. Like I'm trying to like analyze your spell and recreate it and like counter it. And I like that.
And there being a bit of a time pressure for the defense works for that.
Yeah, I think there's an imbalance, which is it felt like you have a lot more time to send the spells than to react to the spells. And I think the inverse is true in terms of timing almost. Like I could just like wiggle my finger and make anything, but I have to like pause and analyze to defend. So I definitely think there's tuning of how do you make this back and forth like really effective. But the basic idea I think is really clever, and shows that you could definitely make this into a complete experience that really gets at that stuff. And I think it would have strategy and be interesting for players to play.
Yeah, and it works for the problem of attention management between the two screens, because there's a meaningful relationship between looking at mine with just the empty dots and the dotless image on screen and trying to get them to match, but being able to like look back and forth as much as I need to, but then the time pressure reducing it and making it much more like I have to just memorize what I saw on screen so I can hurry and do it. It works for that.
Yeah, no, I felt things felt relatively balanced in terms of like what I was being asked to do and how I was able to do it. And I was mostly just kind of running into, I think, things you guys know as a team that were just not there. Like the feedback and the reinforcement of it's my turn now, you successfully defended, and things like that. And so I think the majority of this is just those pieces missing, like impacted the experience. But those pieces I think are relatively clear, and they're work just getting them in as you guys I think experienced. But I think a lot of really strong design decisions, and I'd want to play more with those sort of bugs in place being fixed. But the challenge of designing these little things and sending them and counting them, like it was working despite I think some of the bugs and the implementation flaws. Yeah, it was really cool.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the worlds for the morning. Really good work. I mean, the new platform, Air Console, new. I think we're all learning and discovering the challenges of making experiences that can be played over remote connections. And actually, not a bad segue to like start talking about what's coming. One thing you'll note, no new assignment going out today. So congratulations on conquering round 3 and making these experiences and like little moments of just fun, engaging activities. So yeah, congratulations everyone. Applause. All the little things that we can do within Zoom. We've got, we can do this. Hooray! Hopefully you've felt in some sense the power of just like designing for an activity and like making something about engagement. There's a good chance you felt the luxury of instruction and being able to tell people this is how you play it. There's I think a little bit then the crunch of how to scope. Like how do you make something that you can fit within a week? And it's a really hard balance. It's a really hard thing to be able to recognize this idea we can build it. One, I think especially as you sort of talk with your teams today and this evening, is thinking about what worked and what didn't work, particularly around the idea of the milestone. And there's a good chance a lot of you looked at this and like, what can we build in a week? And you might go back and think about, okay, what if we thought about what can we build in 3 days? Like where can we find simplicity and how can we get to that, the playtesting moment? We intentionally took away interim from you. Like you didn't have a forced milestone in the middle where you could get feedback and be forced to confront some of the challenges. And it might be a thing to reflect on. Is like, how do you get that back? How do you build that yourself? How do you build in playtesting? How do you build in a moment of the whole thing is together in some shape and we can try it as a team and then we can build from there? It's really hard. I mean, this is like a fundamental challenge of development, is that tension between wanting to aim for something bigger and build something and all the pieces we can think about versus building something that's more restrained and more scoped, knowing that we'll need to build on top of it and build in reaction to what we've made. And round 3 hopefully gets you to think about that and see the balance between having an idea and building to that complete idea versus having a direction and building to a first step that you can build from. With all that, like I said, no assignment 4 going out today. It's going to go out next week. So no new teams, no new assignment. We're going to have this week is, in some sense, a bit of a break. We're going to be using Thursday as a chance to reflect. So a little bit of heads up. Thursday will be, the Everly Center will be coming and doing something called early course feedback. So they are the group on campus that's in charge about thinking about how to teach and teach better and help instructors design courses and make them better. So they're going to come and do a feedback session with you guys. We will not be part of that session. So this is a chance for you as students in the class to basically respond and give feedback to a group that's in charge of gathering feedback. And
Meaning faculty, right?
yeah, actually faculty and TAs.
And TAs. Mhm.
So this is student feedback on the course. So that's going to be happening on Thursday. We'll explain it a little more the morning of. But the way it's going to go is we're going to start class. I'm going to introduce Alexis, who's from the Everly Center, and she's going to take things over. And I'm going to leave the meeting, and so are the TAs. And then we'll come back and do some stuff. The stuff we'll do after that session is kind of a class style retrospective of what we've been doing. And one of the goals is to get people to share strategies, lessons learned over the semester. And we're going to kind of set up the rest of where we're going from here, which is 2 more rounds. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is a festival coming up and the idea of designing for audience and that audience being remote and possibly distributed around the world. So how do you bring guests into an experience? We're going to balance that out on another side, which is we're going to be opening up the building a bit more in terms of access to hardware. And so we'll also be talking a little bit about how we're going to try to make VR available, make that work. So in some sense, the first half of BVW is going to be over as of this week. And the second half will be starting. And the second half will be, okay, you kind of know your tools. You have a sense of play testing, of thinking about scope, of thinking about interactivity and interest curve. And now let's use those tools to make stuff. So that's kind of what's coming. With that, I think we'll talk more in the afternoon a little bit, but I think that's most about what we have. TAs, is there anything specifically we want to announce at the end of the session right now?
We do have a special session for tomorrow, which is something fun. Since we're taking a little break this week, we have a BVW story time tomorrow night at Pittsburgh time. So all of the information you can find on the slide, and we have a mailbag if you have like certain things you want to hear about. Like Derek put some questions inside the mailbag. So like if there's specific things you're interested in, feel free to let us know.
And to be clear, Annie, when you say story time, I'm guessing this is not the TAs are going to read storybooks to the class. This is
this is going to be, interesting stories that happened and only exist in that room and does not go out from there.
If you want us to read books, I am okay with that, but imagining BVW stories will be more interesting.
So this is a chance to hear true stories from BVW. Is what I'm hearing.
Stories.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you said it won't leave the room. Does that mean it won't be recorded?
Oh, we'll think about it.
Fine. It's okay.
If you guys want to think of a way to share it with students, and if you want, I can make a pledge to I will not watch the recording and pry or anything like that. So I'm happy to help accommodate both the desire to share this with students and keep it a safe space for you to share stories and things that you want to possibly keep between students.
Just put a password on it and don't give the password to Dave.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes
So
a lot of sense.
I guess I'm ready to support that goal.
Yeah, and then there's also if you haven't filled it out, fill out the survey for for retro review, and also if you want to sign up for a retrospective session, there's a link for that too.
Oh, and actually the good point about the retrospective. So retrospectives tonight, peer, fill out the spreadsheet on sort of the peer feedback, and you're going to do goal reflection. One thing we're going to be doing for Thursday is giving you the aggregated numerical feedback for rounds 1 through 3. And so that's going to be coming as well as part of sort of the reflection moment. And then the goal, like sort of the goal setting for round 4 is going to be due next week. So we're sort of taking advantage of the fact that we have a break, and we're going to sort of kick things off next Tuesday with assignment 4. You'll be getting the assignment and the teams basically at the same time. Okay, with that, we're going to do the last 3 teams at in about an hour. And that will be the full celebration of the completion of round 3. And so for everyone in the morning session, congratulations. And I think we're ready to go on lunch break. And welcome everyone back who wants to see and enjoy at 1 p.m.
Good work, everybody. See you at 1.
Yay, congratulations.